Muy buenas noches, Jocelyn. Gracias por estar en el canal. Bienvenida. Bueno, hay que hablar sobre una producción súper interesante de tus inicios. Wow, hay muchas leyendas acá. Este debut es bastante interesante. Quisiera saber alguna experiencia sobre ella. ¿Qué fue lo que más te impactó al trabajar con los actores?
Okay, as always we do, welcome to the channel and let's start with the beginning. We know it's a very long time, but what can you tell us about the stranger who looks like me? Working with this cast, anything you can tell us
Oh
about
my
that
goodness, that goes back a
early memory.
very
Yes.
long time ago. Yeah. Well, that was a very special project. It was about adopted children, and the producers of that show had adopted two children, and they wanted to make a film about all the different points of view. So they had it was with Bo Bridges and Meredith Baxter Burney, and they had one of them wanted to find the parent, and the other one didn't want to find the parent. And we did something in that film for television that we had never done. I've never done since. The director was from theater, and he wanted to do an improvisation, and he hired trained actors. And we all were told, something about our character. So I was someone who wanted to see my mother. I wanted to find my mother. And somebody else, Bo didn't want to find his mother. And so we did an improvisation, and there were 20 people in the room who all had these role playing, these parts. And it was very powerful. It was difficult to edit. So they're I don't know how many versions of that film. One of them has the entire thing, which was too much. It was, went on too long. And they finally edited just enough to tell the story, because to tell a story well is an editor's job. So they did a good job with it.
Jhon, es basada en una historia que le pasó a los directores y llegó un momento donde en el set incluso había más de 20 personas por el tema tan fuerte que es sobre la adopción. Con eso te lo digo todo. Es más, hay muchas versiones de esta película. No se saben cuántas se terminaron editando.
Increíble. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jocelyn. Hay otra
Yeah.
historia que es muy interesante, que habla sobre el tema del polio, que fue algo muy duro en aquel entonces. Y yo quiero preguntarte, esta historia, ¿cómo en aquella época la recibieron al estrenarse la historia, la película, todo, y qué enseñanza le deja?
Another hard history for the subject is the other side of the mountain. How was received because it's about the polio?
It was the same director as the television show. So how things work in California, in Hollywood. My father was an actor, and so I knew the producers of the first piece, The Stranger Who Looks Like Me. And then the director really liked my work in that piece. And so he took me out to lunch, and he asked me, about doing the lead in the mountain picture, the other side of the mountain. And I wasn't quite right for the lead. So he said, you're going to be in this movie because I like your work. So I ended up doing that film as well. And that was sort of my first, it was a big film. And we went away to I can't remember the name of the mountains we went to in California, but we have a lot of skiing. And we went to the mountains, and we were there for 6 weeks. And I had to learn to ski. I knew a little bit about skiing, but it wasn't going to look like a champion skier. So we took ski lessons, and we had an awfully good time on location for 6 weeks. And I was also supposed to ride a horse in that movie. People keep putting me on horses, and I don't ride very well. So I took lessons to learn how to ride horses. And then when the director came to see me ride the horse for the scene to check out how well I'd done with my lessons, I came out and they put me on a very small horse. And the director said, Jocelyn, this horse is tiny. It's like a pony. We're not going to, you need to ride a big horse or no horse at all. So we took the horse out, but I ended up on a bicycle instead of a horse. But that's how movies go. You never know what's going to happen. But it was the same director.
Thank you, John, del mismo director de la serie. En esta película ella tomó lecciones para aprender a esquiar y hay dato muy interesante. Jocelyn ha hecho muchísimos papeles donde ella tiene que montar a caballo y ella en realidad no sabe. Y eso que tomó lecciones para esta película, pero pues se llegaron como unos cambios última hora, pero sí es una experiencia muy chévere y sí se fueron a las montañas de California a grabar esto.
Wow, entonces el paisaje sí era real.
Yeah, Mammoth. It was Mammoth. It was up in Mammoth, those mountains.
And John said that so the landscape was real and beautiful.
Yes.
Wow.
Very pretty.
Thank you. Yeah. Hay otra historia interesante, muy buena, por cierto. A mí me gusta mucho esa historia, es sobre el poder destacarse ella en un protagónico, pero también trabajar con grandes actores. A mí me encantó mucho y pues, obviamente la actuación de Priscilla Pointer fue increíble, pero cuéntame un poco más de cómo ella, Jocelyn, protagonizó esta historia y que fue pues muy reconocida y aún sigue recordada, teniendo muchos coleccionistas la película.
It's great that a lot of collectors got the great Texas Dynamite chase, really great leading role. So tell us about that experience, because a great cast, great roles for the actresses, the actors, but you were the leading lady. So tell us.
Well, that was fun because I that was my first starring role in a film, and to go from the other side of the mountain to that movie, I had to audition like 8 times, and so I auditioned like 8 times, and they finally gave me the role. And then Claudia, the co-star, my co-star, who was everybody, when we did public relations, everybody wanted to talk to Claudia. They didn't want to talk to me because she was the Playmate of the Year. She had done all these kinds of films, and we looked like sisters. Michael, the Pressman, the director, was going, I didn't realize you look so much alike. So then we started dressing alike and playing with that. But nothing is more fun than shooting a movie with, guns and dynamite and robbing banks and such. But if you look at that movie and you look at the one, this very famous one, Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise definitely saw the Great Texas Dynamite Chase because it's almost a blueprint. It's the A version of a B movie. And that movie that we shot, Michael Pressman, everybody in that film went on to have big careers. But it was a lot of people's first film. And, it was so much fun. We made it for maybe $100,000. We made it for nothing. We were dressing in cars and, using our own clothes. And it was, you do those kinds of movies for the love of it and for the fun of it. And it sure was fun. And how to ride a horse. At the end, we get away on horses and back again. I'm on the horse. I look terrible. I'm like leaning back like this. Oh my God.
No, you look great. You look great on a horse. And by the way, it's great because you told us that this movie was a low budget movie. Now it's a cult classic. And 2, we got an actor from Thelma and Louise. It will be great to ask him if somehow they mentioned that movie.
Yeah.
I will tell Jhon, because we got the amazing Steven Tobolowsky here, so I will tell. Jhon, sería buenísimo preguntarle a Steven Tobolowsky si en el set de Thelma y Luisa hablaran de esta película, porque si tú te das cuenta, es Thelma y Luisa. Es como la versión A de Thelma y Luisa. Hay un dato buenísimo. Tú sabes que la otra actriz, Claudia, fue la Playmate del año, ¿no?
Sí.
Hay 2 datos interesantes, a pesar de que pues la gente quería hablar más con Claudia, pues tú sabes, por la fama esa. Parecen hermanas, no son hermanas, pero parecen hermanas, y eso es increíble. O sea, muchas personas confundían a Jocelyn y a Claudia en esa época por eso. Costó $100,000, fue una película donde incluso ellos se cambiaban en los carros, donde ella obviamente al final, tú sabes, no es spoiler, la gran huida en caballo, una escena increíble. dinamita y todo, pero no sé si puedas preguntarle a Stephen si ellos mencionan esta película, porque dicen, yo creo que sí, que fue la que inspiró a Telma y Luis.
Yo le preguntaré, haré mi trabajo,
Porfa, y dándole saludos, obvio.
por favor. Hay una historia interesante que la verdad es increíble, adelantada a su época, y es una Games. Es una historia dura, muy difícil de poder explicarlo en todo el sentido de una temática sobre la lascivia, el acoso, pero quiero preguntarle qué es lo más impactante que pudiste notar del personaje tuyo al momento de poder interpretarlo, las indicaciones del director. Increíble.
What was the most, let's say, impactful thing playing your role in Fun and Games? Because another movie that got a teen so ahead of his time, no, lost a lot of students on the street. So tell us more about Fun and Games.
Oh, Fun and Games was a union. As I remember, it was about unions and working people in factories and stuff. And I studied acting from a lot of great teachers, and I became a teacher because in the end, I became more interested in the process of acting and creating a life, that before people's eyes, that was really a parallel reality. You have this reality we're living in, and then actors make this entire parallel reality. And so I learned a lot about that process and how effective it was in Fun and Games because, in a movie like that, you'll have a few scenes, but the rest of the time you're in the background, but they want you the same people because we are the factory workers. And so, I didn't know what kind of factory it was. There were some buttons and bows and things, and we didn't know what they were making there. We were just actors. So I know in the factories, you do things, the same, this and this and this, and then you do the same thing again, this and this and this, and move it on, this and this and this. So I created that kind of work and that kind of life. And so the director kept putting a camera on me because that is what tells the story of a worker and what they do. And then, your fingers hurt and you add things to the body of it. And so even though you don't have lines, you're still working, you're still part of contributing to this alternate reality, if you will.
Para reinterpretar el rol de trabajadora de fábrica, ella se compenetró tanto el personaje que así haya terminado de grabar sus escenas, ella se convirtió en una especie de profesora dentro del set, que tú sabes que fue un elenco grandísimo, y ella creó todo su personaje, y el director no dejaba ponerle la cámara, porque era muy creíble en generar ese ambiente de fábrica, porque tú sabes que es una película que trata sobre relaciones que ocurren dentro de una fábrica.
Sí, algo duro, pero bastante, pues, de aprender en esa historia y bastante impactante. Hay otra historia que la verdad es bastante, yo digo que es una de las películas de terror de la época y es Tourist Trap. Yo cuando la primera vez que vi esa película me quedé impactado, no sé, no pude dormir. Cuando la vi, que eso fue cuando tenía 14, 15 años, pero cuando la vi, créame que no pude dormir esa noche. ¿Cómo es interpretar el terror? Más que todo en una historia bastante muy loca.
Another cult classic, Tourist Trap. Jones watched it when he was a teenager, yeah, and he got scared the head out of him. So how was working? Yeah, you had to tell us. You had to tell us.
They sent me that script, and I read that script, and my husband came. He was not my husband at the time; he was my boyfriend at the time. But he came in, and I was crying, and he said, "Honey, what's the matter? Why are you crying?" And I said, "Oh, they're going to ask me to make this movie, and I don't want to make this movie." I don't like horror movies, and that has a big following. I get more fan mail for that movie than anything. It is a cult classic, and there's a whole genre. People just love horror movies, but I'm not really one of them. I don't really like them. So, but at first they said it was. They said they really wanted me, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be Henry Fonda. It's going to star you and Henry Fonda." And that's another thing that happens in Hollywood. It wasn't quite Henry Fonda. We finally got to Chuck Connors, but I love Chuck Connors. He was a terrific guy, and I thought it was so odd because I had worked with Johnny Crawford. And then I worked with Chuck Connors. And of course, they were the riflemen and the rifle boy. So that was sort of an odd coincidence, but, making movies is fun, So we had a lot of fun making them. David Schmoller, the director, again, he was a first-time director. I ended up working with these directors for the first time, getting them launched, And because I was so trained and I was so interested in process, I would come my script and notes and all kinds of things. I was also sort of showing off, I think. And I remember that he would say, I think you should be directing this film, not me, because I was so prepared with everything, And then later in my career, that's what I would do for film stars. I would prepare them like I had prepared myself.
You got more fan mail from Tourist Trap than for the Enforcer?
Maybe about the same. Maybe about the same because, Dirty Harry and Clint Eastwood is a very, very big, But Tourist Trap really surprised me because I wasn't aware, that it had such a fan. People were so into it, Yeah.
They are really into it. And I will translate.
Jhon will get I'm going to tell Jhon one more thing. In my opinion, Pino, what is his name? Pino, the guy who did the music score for Tourist Trap made that movie. Both the Great Texas Dynamite Chase and Tourist Trap had fantastic scores, and they really are a testament to what music can do for a film.
That's the kind of info I love to tell to Jhon, so I will tell it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jhon, acá hay datos, pues no, puedes que te pongas triste, pero hay datos muy bellos. Jocelyn, cuando estaba leyendo el guión al novio, ahora esposo, en esa época, hijo, ella estaba llorando porque dijo, no puedo creer que me pongan a hacer esta película. Ella dice que no le gusta el terror, pero te voy a decir las cosas positivas. Al principio había un furor con esa película porque le iba a interpretar Henry Fonda. Entonces, después que fue Chuck Connors, y Chuck Connors, excelente actor. Pero ella dice que está sorprendida porque es la película por la que más recibe correos, incluso más que The Enforcer. La segunda es The Enforcer, obviamente. Dice que hay un dato que tiene que darse. Bueno, primero que ella está sorprendida por lo muy bien que pegó esa película, que es la primera película de ese director, y tú sabes que es un directorazo, que es una película de terror muy bien hecha, y obviamente tú me puedes dar fe, pero el mejor dato es, bueno, que aparte que ella, todo lo que hizo en esa película le sirvió para después dar clases, porque tú sabes que es profesora de actuación y le daba clases a gente que es muy buena, es que el que hizo la banda sonora de esa película es el que mismo que hizo la banda sonora de Great Texas Dynamite Chase, y ella dice que es de las mejores bandas sonoras que he oído, de las mejores bandas sonoras que he hecho, el mismo autor. Ambas. Dice que es la prueba de cómo una banda sonora eleva una película, en ambos casos.
Wow.
Yeah, the music, just fantastic. It wouldn't be, either one of those movies would not be the same without those scores. They set the mood, they set the tone, I never realized it until I saw them. They're very music dependent, those two films.
I will ask Jhon. Jhon, ¿te gusta la banda sonora de ambas películas?
Sí.
Ella dice que las elevó a otro nivel. ¿Qué son lo que son? Parte
Es la magia, es la magia.
Yes, the magic.
Yeah.
Fíjate que hay una historia que me pareció bellísima. A mí en lo personal, las películas románticas, bueno, no son muy fuertes, pero cuando la vi, Dios mío, no podía llorar, o sea, no podía dejar de llorar y de ese consumo. Ver el rol de la madre, que me impactó mucho, pero los protagonistas se llevaron todo a su esplendor. ¿Cuál es la anécdota más importante de esta película? Muy diferente a los roles que ella ha hecho, pero muy hermoso.
What is your experience in The Second Son, a very touching movie?
Oh, The Second Son. That film is like a poem. It's a very low budget, very small film, but it's like a poem. It's not like a regular film. It's a little bit like a poem, and it's a World War II piece. It's about people who were in camps, and I played one scene, just a mother who. I'll tell you how I played this scene. It was interesting. It was in a coffee shop, and I think that the guy in the coffee shop lost his mother. He got separated from his mother. And I come into the coffee shop one day and just order a cup of coffee. And there's just a suggestion that, oh, that's his mother. And they don't know, because he's been looking for his mother. And or he got separated from his mother. His mother died. I can't quite remember, but I do remember how I prepared for it. Because, the directors, they don't give you very much. You have the scene, you read it on the page, and you don't want to just go in and order a cup of tea. You have to be filled with what we call in acting inner life. You have to have the thoughts of the character. You have to have the worries of the character. And so I decided, what we call in acting the moment before, that I had been to a graveyard to visit my relative. I don't know whether it was a husband or a child. And the way that I got this idea is, at the time, my mother was dying when I shot this, and I was at home taking care of her in the country in New York. And oddly, the location for this shoot was very close by to where my mother lived. And so I was taking care of her, and I was in the attic trying to locate something. And these letters fell off a shelf, and I picked them up. They were tied with a ribbon. And all actors and filmmakers and writers, I also write, you think of things. I mean, a packet of letters with small envelopes with a ribbon around it is very evocative. You think, where did those letters come from? And so I took them to the set, and I made this story for myself that I had been to visit the graveyard, and it was something I did every year at that time. And I came with the letters, and I was reading the letters, and I was filled with all of that and my mother dying before the scene even started. And so this very small exchange between the guy in the store and myself becomes quite loaded, as we call it, loaded.
Beautiful. I will translate. Jhon,
Okay.
No, es un honor. Jhon, la escena de ella, el director no le había dado mucho material. Sabes que es una escena pequeña pero hermosa. Situaciones que le están ocurriendo a ella sirvieron para que ella construyera la escena, por así decirlo. En ese momento ella estaba cuidando a su mamá, y en la casa, ella, mientras la estaba cuidando, encontró unas cartas. Ella decidió crear con estas cartas, pero estaban todavía con el sello y todo. Decidió construir una historia donde ella visitaba siempre la tumba de un familiar. Tú sabes que es una historia que ocurre en la Segunda Guerra Mundial, y que pedía un café. Pero toda la emoción que tú ves en la escena es porque ella había construido toda esa historia antes de grabarla, con lo que le estaba ocurriendo en Nueva York.
Beautiful as well. Thank you, Jocelyn. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Vamos a culminar.
This is the magic of acting. This is why I ended up teaching actors, because I wanted to show them the power and the spirituality, really, of creating life. Because when an actor gets it right and they create this whole life in front of your eyes, and they really believe it, they really enter it, they really respond to it in exactly the same way that we respond in life, what happens is the audience, the person watching the film, the person watching the play, releases. They leave their life behind, and they enter this parallel life, this imaginary life, this magic life that's made up. They enter it. And I've always felt that when they leave the theater, when the lights come up and the audience applauds and they leave the theater, people think, well, gee, if they can create all that life out of thin air, surely I can create my own life a little better. And that's why I think we admire actors.
Dice que es la magia de la actuación, que esos elementos que llevan a que tal vez unas personas creen, o sea, me refiero, tú terminas la película, y si una persona puede decir, vaya, si ellos pudieron crear esto del aire, pues eso me permitirá crear una mejor vida para mí. Entonces, ella por eso es que es docente de actuación.
Y está muy bien. Afortunados sus alumnos, que eso es lo más lindo. Por último, la pregunta que le hacemos a los invitados: ¿cómo define todo su trabajo en una palabra?
And like we always do, try to define your work, your career, in one word.
In one word, help. I want to help.
And you are doing it right. Ayuda.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thanks to you, because I really love this. I love all the interviews, but I really love this type of interviews that let you, more. It's more than happy. Let us thinking, but thinking in a better world or in a better life, because life sometimes can be hard, but I really love this type of thoughtful interviews, and I will tell that to you.
Thank you. Can you ask? I'm interested. I have a question. I'm interested. What was it? Was it tourist trap that? How did I get on your radar in Colombia? How did you find out about me? I don't. I must say my most recent work is a book that I've written about artistry and a masterclasses series for actors that you can find on my website. But I'm interested in how I ended up on Jonathan's radar, that he would reach out to me to be on his show. How did that happen?
I will ask him, but I got an answer in Colombia. Well, I'm older than Jhon, so the 30s and 40s people are more from the enforcer, because here in Colombia the action movies really hit. But I will ask Jhon. Jhon, ¿qué fue lo que, no sé si te pregunta a ti o en general, qué es lo que hizo que llegara el radar de Jocelyn a Colombia? En el sentido, por ejemplo, yo le dije que de pronto es de Enforcer porque acá hay mucha gente que pues se vio la trilogía de Dirty Harry, pero si fue por Tourist Trap, si fue por el libro que ella sacó, ¿cómo ya llegó ella a tu radar o al radar de Colombia?
Eso con Son, primero.
Wow.
Y luego me introduje a Tourist Trap, luego de Enforcer, de Gritters a Dynamite Chase, y así. Fun Again, así fui. Pero cuando vi esa canción me hizo llorar. Llorar. Y ahí es donde sí o sí te encontré, y ahí es donde aquí estamos.
Wow, that was unexpected. Jhon watched you on the second song. Later he started watching more words of your career. That's why he find, the more known ones like Dynamite Chase, the Forcer. But the second song, I'm surprised. Wow.
I'm surprised that Second Son was the first film. And you obviously both love movies. And so you find movies and follow the director, follow the actor, follow different people in the film and watch their other work. That's wonderful. That's great.
No, dime.
No, le iba a decir que, y eso lo hacemos porque es nuestra universidad. And I was going to tell you something. I know why Jhon and myself, we do that, and not only Jhon and myself. In this city, Cucuta, there is no universities for learning cinema. So how we can learn about cinema, watching cinema?
Yeah. Well, if I'm allowed to promote, I can say, my website is JOCELYNJonesStudio.com, and it has lessons. I'm a teacher, so I like to teach people about film and acting classes and how to become an actor, and my latest book takes acting exercises for regular people and shows them how to connect to their own inspiration, to their heart. I believe there's an artist in everyone, and I want people to connect to their heart and create their life as their masterpiece. You know, your life is your masterpiece. That's what you're here. Treat it like art. Be inspired. Ask questions. The same questions actors ask, you can ask yourself.
And thank you for telling it, because we are going to ask you about your social media, but it's great that you mentioned it. So I think I will ask you for the picture so we can show to the people about this interview. So, Jhon, la foto.
Un momento.
Ella nos dio su sitio web,
Perfecto.
dijo que allá da clases de actuación y de cómo volver la vida una obra de arte.
Qué gran frase. Jocelyn, thank you so much. God bless you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for inviting me to Colombia for the evening. It was lovely to talk to both of you. Good luck in all of your artistic endeavors.
Thank you so much. Great week. Bye bye.
Great week. Have a great week. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.